You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm your host, Mo, and today on my podcast, I have a friend of mine, Andria Downs, with Crowne Group Coaching out of Boise, Idaho. So Andria and I met when I was in the real estate world, and it's funny because our friendship has grown over the last, I think like 6 or 7 years, and really changed and developed in so many ways. We have actually not spent a ton of time together, like in the same room or in the same place, but we always connected. And always, when people stick with me and different resources or things come into my path and I think of them, I just pass them along. And that is what Andria and I have done for each other over the years. And so I knew I wanted to have her on the podcast. And why would I have another coach on my podcast? I think oftentimes people wonder about things like that. And it's because I'm not for everyone. And I also believe in sharing other resources and people that have made an impact in my life that I believe people in the audience could benefit from. I might not be the coach for you, but Andrea could be the coach for you. And so that's why I have such a variety of coaches and people who lead and train and teach on this platform. So in this episode today, we talk about why she decided to become a coach and why self-discovery can change your entire world, how she defines intuition and utilizes it in her daily life, both personally and professionally. And then she has an upcoming workshop that you could possibly be a part of if it sounds like something you're pulled to. So here's the 411 on Andria. Andria is a women's empowerment coach. She has owned and operated Crowne Group Coaching for 5 years, where she offers personalized coaching programs. Clients can work with her virtually in one-to-one sessions, groups, workshops, and in-person retreats. As a coach, her goal is to help you align with your most authentic self. She helps clients get clear on root issues and work through why they continue to come up. Together, they evaluate what's working for you and what's holding you back. And most importantly, she provides the tools and support for you to rewrite your old story, heal wounds, and find your power again. So enjoy this episode with Andria. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm here today with my friend Andria, and I'm really excited for you all to get to hear her today and learn more about her business and what she does. And then just for the two of us to interact, and we were just talking a little bit before we pressed record, there are so many things that we connect on and align with that I think we'll probably end up talking about today. So I'm excited for you guys to meet her. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Been looking forward to this since we scheduled it, actually. So,
yeah. Well, start off telling everybody just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So my name is Andria. I am a empowerment coach. And really what that is I touch on personal development, business coaching, accountability. Really, I meet you where you're at and we work from there. The end goal is to get you out of your own way, though, so you can be, do, and have the life that you dream of, because we are the only ones stopping ourselves from doing that.
Totally. 100%. How long have you been doing this specific work with exactly what you just described?
Yeah, truly probably longer than I would put into a time frame.
Yeah.
Been in the business owning Crowne Group Coaching for just over 5 years. Came into it though through real estate and coaching. Okay. So probably a total of 10 to 15 years that I've actually been doing this without honing in specifically on where I'm at now. It's just been an accumulation of a lot of the same stuff, bringing me to the aha of coaching the way I coach now. So
yeah. What led you, do you think, to wanting to become a coach?
I got into real estate. I really enjoyed being in it, but I didn't want to do the buying and selling, and was really kind of wading through everything, figuring out like, what is it that I want? And it turned out it was people. I just like people. I get cup filled. Like I think I'm an introvert, extrovert. I like my downtime. I like my processes and my systems and my schedules. I also love people, the right people. And doing real estate, I was really great at accountability coaching because I would say I touched on the human side of things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why was it a struggle to hit those numbers? And it wasn't just numbers, do it, don't, which
Yes.
is the right coaching for some people. But I got the best results because people felt seen, heard, and validated, which is
Mm-hmm.
what
So
people
powerful.
need. That's a
Mm-hmm.
foundational security for people. And so realizing that the content didn't matter nearly as much as being available and being there and seeing the person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can label what you need, whatever you want it to be, business, accountability, doesn't really matter. Ultimately, people sit down, work with me, and root issues come up every
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
so being in the industry that I was in and getting the results, genuinely, it was a wild aha moment. I was at I'd helped build a really successful real estate team with somebody, and we were at a business planning clinic. You've been to those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone else that also had a really fantastic team just randomly at this event during a break said, "Why aren't you doing this for yourself?" And I believe that sometimes the pivot comes because somebody asks the right question.
Yep.
I believe that the right question changes everything. And she broke my brain. And I started asking myself, what would that look like? And immediately I was like, I do not want to run a real estate team. I have zero
Mm-hmm.
interest in that. That's not where I find value. And then I started thinking about a little bit more honed in, what is it that I love? And it's the people. And then, oh, it's the coaching. Oh, it's the relationship building. What can I do with that? And it turned into, I went to a coaching skills camp and my brain was just broken. I was like, oh my God, I should be doing this.
Yeah.
And I came home, and I'm the type of person that when something clicks, I can't sit on it. And
Yeah.
if it's right here, I'm going to turn around and go, hey, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And that's kind of been my track record in any job. I had a cold calling job with Zillow. And one day I literally was like, I can't pick up the phone one more time and make a cold call in the middle of the day. And I turned around, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And they're like, thanks for letting us know. And so it's kind of just, it's how I function. So within 2 weeks, I quit, started my LLC, had no business, nobody, no nothing, and went to lunch with another agent. She said, I'll hire you. And that's all I needed. That was it. That was it. I wasn't
Confirmation.
going to make my
Yeah.
rent. I wasn't going to be able to afford my life. It was just, I just needed someone to go, I see you, I believe in you. And I was like, let's go. And it's been an amazing journey ever since. Lots of ups and downs, ebbs and flows, lots of ahas, worth it. I would do it
Mm-hmm.
again every single time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Uh, I love the immediate confirmation too. That definitely happened for me and when I started my business as well. Now, for some of you that are listening, you might be like, Margaret, why are you having another coach on your podcast? And I've had multiple different coaches on my podcast, and the reason I do that is because everybody is called to work with different people for different reasons. And I firmly believe that there are going to be some people who listen to this who are like, I don't know why, but I feel called to talk with Andria. And so I'm wondering if you can describe who's your ideal client and what are 2 to 3 themes that you see pop up for the clients that you work with? Because I think there might be some people listening who will really identify with the work that you do.
Yeah, great question. Great question. And the timing, always perfect. I am an advocate of affirmations and speaking into my reality. It keeps me grounded. Otherwise, I'll get lost up here. Don't we
Mm-hmm.
all? And I have a right people, right place, right time mentality. And that's with friendships, clients, whatever. And I will tell you this little thing, and then I'll tell you about the ideal client coach relationship for me is I have this belief that people will magnetize to you and find you. And so I want to double down on what you said, that if someone's listening to this and it has sparked something for them, pay attention to that, because it's a breadcrumb.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you ended up working with either one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Does it put you on the path to the thing that lead you towards your betterment. Right.
Yeah.
And so, for me with clients, because I believe in this, I will vibrate the right people, right place, right time, right people, right place, right price, all of those things. I trust. Now I'm human, so I vet, I have my process.
Mm-hmm.
What I have learned though, coming into my full authenticity of what I want to coach, because for anyone listening who has a business, there are many struggles. I would say I'm at
Mm-hmm.
the peak of the last 5 years of starting the LLC. And I finally realized I don't have to coach everybody, and it matters that I'm coaching and creating from passion. And,
Mm-hmm.
if we get to it, I'll tell you a little bit how I got to that place where I got to not focus on money, but instead focus on, what does my business want
Mm-hmm.
me to
Mm-hmm.
create? Because your business will tell you what it needs. I realized that the type of clients, one, they want to do the work. They are in self-discovery mode. They want to understand why they're stuck or in cyclistic situations, or come to me and go, all right, why does this keep happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your mindset is. If you want to understand, then we would be a match.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I have a pretty direct approach, but it's very kind. I just don't beat around the bush, and I don't add a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fluff. If I also don't answer questions that haven't been asked. So if
Mm-hmm.
you need 6 months to get through processing something, I can hold the space for that. If you're also the client that comes in and goes, just tell me what the fuck an answer is, then I get to go, well, it's a wound. And they're like, knew it. Because we all ultimately know, but people will come in and go, I just want to work on business. Listen, the reason that it hasn't worked for you so far is because you're ignoring the thing. And I just happen to ask all the right questions. And
Yeah.
I spent years figuring out what those questions are.
Yeah.
So I ask the question, it unlocks the thing, and all of a sudden they're in my seat dissociating. And I'm like, hey, tell me how you're feeling. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I never thought about that. I'm like, okay, great. I can hold space for that. Let's talk about that. So, one, people who want to do the work, people who are eager
Mm-hmm.
to go, I want to understand what I don't understand. Two, I would say would be, somebody who is ready to be honest with themselves,
Mm.
truly, like
That's a good one.
truly honest.
Yeah.
Um, and do the work where I get to teach you about the 4 agreements. And when we remove the filters and the rose-colored glasses and actually allow ourselves to hear what people are saying and not be offended by it, because the majority of people are projecting. We're all projecting all the time. So when we can go, I'm just going to receive what you're saying as data, and I'm not going to emotionally react,
Mm-hmm.
it puts them in a position of power. And then all of a sudden they're like, so things are working out for me. And I'm like, and they always could. They always were. You were always capable of that, but you had to remove filters, do some healing, and figure
Mm-hmm.
out when you're reacting from a wound and
Mm-hmm.
when you're reacting from your highest and greatest good,
Mm-hmm.
and how that character would show up. Like I said it to you today, what would your character do? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I would just say someone who's willing,
Mm-hmm.
open-minded, who's just like, can't figure it out on my own, might as well try something else.
Yes.
And, because I would say that I do personalized coaching.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is you've taught me actually is being really mindful about investment of energy, and that energy is money. And everyone gets Andria. This is who I am, sitting across from you, bullshitting about something stupid that we did that weekend,
Mm-hmm.
because my commitment was to show up and meet people where they were at. Sometimes that's staying in the same place for a month about the same topic, because you just have to unwind and figure it out. And I'm like, let's go, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really love is being able to be somebody who can create something custom and personalized,
Mm-hmm.
because the journey is the same. The process is the process, but the way that
Mm-hmm.
you do it is going to be different than this person, and this person. And I understand that. So I just get to go, great, stay here as long as you want. And people feel seen, heard, and validated. And that
Mm-hmm.
is my goal. That is my number one. Someone asked, like,
Yeah.
what's the legacy you want to leave this year? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
to continue to help impact people so they feel seen, heard, and
Yeah.
validated. Because you
Yeah.
light one person up, who does that go light up?
Yeah, exactly. Don't you feel like that process of someone feeling seen and heard and validated, that's almost actually like step one of moving towards any part of feeling? Because if they don't feel seen or heard, they're not even going to be able to move into a space of doing the work or making changes.
There's no foundation.
I love that you said that. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we all as a basic level of security need that. Mm-hmm. And when I get to touch on worth with people, it could be as simple as us talking about I coach other coaches, the price that they are going to charge. Mm-hmm. And they'll, share their screen, show me their stuff. I'm like, that's too low. And they're like, well, I feel like I don't have, that's too low. I'm like, why is that so low? How did you get to that price? And then guess what? We stumble across worth.
Yeah.
So they're thinking they're in a business call, and then, oh, well, self-worth, and then inner child.
It's all interconnected. Yes.
And I know that because it keeps proving itself to be true.
Me too.
So I just get to go, let me ask the right question. And I get to just challenge, because here's something fun. You know this. Everyone tells on themselves. Mm-hmm. And if you remove the filters, you tell on yourself also. Mm-hmm. And nobody is an exception to the rule. We are the rule, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I love that. And when I get to sit and talk with people and they're telling me all their stuff, I'm grabbing the little pieces that they don't think they're saying. And I get to go, hey, I want to reflect back to you something that I heard you say. You went, I'm doing this and this, but like, if it works out. And then I go, do you know what that little seed of doubt is doing to you right now? It's why your prices are what they are. And, I have a client actually right now, we just went through the pricing. And I mean, it within a month, she went over the pricing. I was like, no, like that is way too low. And you don't want to undervalue yourself regardless of experience. What you're offering is very valuable. Like, let's talk about that. A month later, she brings it up and she goes, I want you to know something. She just tells me on the call, she goes, I'm giving this package away for free because I want to she had all like, I'm doing this because it does this and it makes sense. And I go, and she goes, I know what you're going to say. And I said, no, you don't. And I said, I love that. And I support that. She goes, well, what's the difference? And I said, the first conversation, you came from lack. This came from intention and abundance. And I go, there's a huge difference. Do you see that? And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, there you go. I go, that's how you build. Yeah. That's how you do it. And she was like, holy crap. Because people don't recognize also growth they've made and progress they've made. But when you have self-reflection and you notice something you've never noticed before, growth, greatest self, when you're aware enough to go, I pivoted and I was uncomfortable. I did it though. Growth. And we don't give ourselves enough credit. And you and I talk about this all the time. I'm like, totally. Hey, that was a big deal. And we're like, thanks for saying that. Because I was
sometimes I need to hear somebody else say it sometimes.
It was just a normal Tuesday. And I'm like, no, fucking wasn't. Like, oh, okay, I'm swearing. Because this is me.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So you like a little extra sass in your coaching calls than I'm but yeah.
Well, this is good for people to hear too, because I also am imagining, as I'm getting to know my podcast audience, it's a wide variety of people. So you could work with a stay-at-home mom. You could work with a retired veteran. You could work with, I just want for people that are listening, for you guys to know, hey, if you're not a business owner, but you're still interested in growth, please, like, I just never want people to feel like they have run out of options for growth, no matter what your age is, where you're at. There's growth is possible at any time in life. And it's super exciting to go through that process with people. So I love that you shared that, because I think the coaching world is changing, because I know so many real estate coaches who would say to me back when I first got started, well, I'm very clear. I only business coach. I don't do any personal coaching or life coaching. And I was like, I understand that you don't want to step across the line, but you can find where the line is. Like if there's something in a coaching call that gets to be to the level where I think a therapist should be involved, I will absolutely refer people to a therapist, or say, hey, now's the time where
I require it.
Yeah.
I require it. And there's stuff we don't deal with in our ethics. We understand that. And so we don't pretend. A great coach doesn't pretend to be what they're not.
Yes.
A good human doesn't pretend to be.
Doesn't pretend. Yeah. So I love that you're saying what you're saying, because that's what I kept finding too, as I was beginning to coach and not even realizing I was doing it years ago. I kept seeing, oh, you're doing this professionally because of this thing personally that's happening.
Uh-huh.
Why aren't you addressing that personal thing? And the person would be like, well, it's not going to really affect my job or my business
It
career, my
affects
career.
it
It affects
all.
everything.
Everything is
Yeah.
intertwined the universe is always making us, giving us examples of like
Hmm.
red flag needs attention.
Yeah.
And we have been conditioned to be like, just power through it, hustle,
Yes.
hustle, hustle, which
Yes.
I do not agree with that. And that is a breadcrumb that gets you
Hmm.
to, I can't tell you how often I know you have similar experiences where people will go, they'll fight the thing that they think is not important. And
Yes.
I know that it is the thing that unlocks the thing where they
The
go, oh my
thing. Yes.
God, you're
Yes.
avoiding it for a reason. When we avoid things or
Yeah.
over invest ourselves in relationships, answer questions that haven't been asked, or feel like,
Hmm.
we have to be the people pleasing people saver,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, it's an avoidance tactic
Hmm.
to not work on the things that are
Hmm.
asking for our attention in our lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
truth always comes to light, and the world, it will come crash. I make this joke with my clients and they laugh about it, but it's very real. The universe will pop you like a zit if you're someplace you're not supposed to be. And if you don't choose to make the right choice for you based on all the data and the
Yeah.
does that you see, it will
Yeah.
burn that fucking bridge. So
Yep.
you can't go back. So
Yeah.
I always tell people, anything that's meant for you will never miss you. You're not
Hmm.
running out of time.
I love that so
And
much
mess it
because,
up.
yeah, I love when I finally realized that. And I thought to myself, because I always thought, oh, I'm going down the wrong way. But oh no, you'll receive all the signs. You'll get all the roadblocks if you're going a direction that is completely not meant for you. Or like if you start to pay attention to that stuff, you are being led. And not that we don't have free will, because we do. There's a number of different directions I could go with my business.
Mhm.
It's not that I'm going to be declined going one way down, or down the other. But if you're going a direction that is really harmful or that is not really meant for you, you
Yep.
will receive notice.
You will have a consequence for it, and
Yeah.
it's pain.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why though. We don't make changes in our lives unless we get tired of our own bullshit, unless we
Yep.
touch the stove so many times that we're like, I'm done being.
Mhm. Yeah.
This is why the work I do with people, I always tell them it starts with you. So it might be as simple as today I was talking with someone and he goes, I've been asking myself a lot more questions. I said, and watch the world around you change, because now you are getting to know you. You will ask
Yeah.
more questions. You will teach people how to treat you. You will have less expectations, less
Hmm.
disappointment, because you'll learn
Hmm.
I can't have expectations. And if I do, I should ask more questions so that I
Hmm.
just understand. And he
Hmm.
was like, oh my God, that's a thing. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, my goal again is to help people get out of their own way. Because I believe the more people that I can turn on the light for and help will just continue to turn on lights. And I want to live in
Hmm.
that world.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm also a realist and I
Hmm.
help people apply the things. So
Hmm.
one of the tools is I give tools and skills. Here's how that works. You asked about themes. People's inner child stuff is always hit, always. And they're like,
Hmm.
damn, where'd she come from? And I'm like, yeah, she's screaming for attention. And I'm a trauma informed coach too, so I can speak about these things with them. We just don't hyper focus because it's a little bit exhausting sometimes, and
Hmm.
it's a tough journey. And it's a full-time job when you start healing, whether you think you're doing the work or not. You're
Yeah.
constantly observing, taking in data, hearing your brain's constantly, when you sleep, you go into a totally different realm and go do
Hmm.
work. If you wake up tired when you're healing, yep. So we talked about this recently. You've got a
Yeah.
pad. So a lot of stuff I do, like, people kind of, bat an eye at it at first and always come full circle and go, I have one
Hmm.
client who I'll tell her something and later she'll come back, she'll go, so you can just fuck all the way off. And I was like, was I right? And she's just like, yeah, you were. And I'm like, oh, I'm surprised, surprised. I'm so surprised to hear that. And it's tools for like, hey, don't subtract here, add,
Hmm. Hmm.
add more water,
Hmm.
eat the cake, go put your feet
Hmm.
in some grass, go get grounded, go for a walk, move your body, go do something that
Hmm.
makes you laugh. Do
Hmm.
you need a bed rot for a little bit? I think I've laughed with you about this. I learned recently, because of you, figured out my chronotype, which we should talk about today if you haven't talked about that with
Yeah.
people. I fucking love it. Changed my life. the way I function now and process with my day, I don't get started till like 11, 10 or 11. And that's with people specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Prior, I've got my routine. I ground myself, do my own stuff, but I call it Herkel-Dirkling. It's a word. So I Herkel-Dirkle till I can't do it no more. And I get to teach other people. I'm like, then go slower in the morning if you don't like to get up at 4 a.m. Maybe you're
Yeah.
not supposed to. Have you done your human design? Do you know what
Yeah.
your type is? What's your Enneagram?
Mm-hmm.
Have you learned about you?
Mm-hmm.
So they seem minimal, but I have so many people will come back onto a call and go, so cake was the answer. And I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. Or they'll go,
Yeah.
I learned about myself and I am a bear and I've been functioning like a dolphin and I'm not a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, there we go. I tell people all the time, and I do this workshop and I say, when we can figure out why we do the things that we do,
Mm-hmm.
everything starts to make sense. And
Mm-hmm.
because we hit acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize
Yeah.
how judgy we are, how domesticated we are from rules that were passed down, and
Yes.
no one knows why they do what they do.
Yes.
But why is it wrong to make a choice that might otherwise have been told to you by a parent figure that that's not the way to do it? But when you do it, it impacts people positively, it makes your life better, and you're happy. Why is it wrong? Like, I don't
Exactly.
understand. And
Yeah.
so I get to help people go, what do you want your rules to be? How
Yeah.
do you how do you want to make things make sense for you?
Yeah.
And then they start to see, like, they're like, I think the universe like rolled out the red carpet. I'm like, oh, you're living aligned. That's nice. And they're like, yeah, it's working out. And then I get to teach them, yes, please, more, please. The
Yeah.
better it gets, the better it gets. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, because what you focus on expands.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for yellow slug bug, which I don't think really exists anymore, you're going to see them.
Yeah.
If you're focused on the positive, what do you think you get more of? If you're focused on the negative, what do you think you get more of?
Mm-hmm.
So mindset shift, perception. I could give you a list of the things we talk about, but it's empowerment. I
Yeah.
want people to go, I'm fucking amazing and I
Mm-hmm.
deserve and am worthy of all the things I want. So I'm going to go and do what I need to do to get as close to them as I can. And guess what? When we do that, it's always better than what we planned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always.
I love that. I love that you mentioned, is it Chronotype?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell people how to find out what theirs is? Where to go?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of, you can just type in free chronotype
Okay.
quiz. It's like Chronotype.
Okay.
The one I use is a sleep doctor quiz, and it's super short, really quick. And essentially, there's 4 different types, and you get to answer these questions, which helps define which one you are. And it will tell you about when you function best, when your energy is best, and what that looks like. So for a bear, which is the most common, you rise with the sun and fall with the sun, right? So I wake up naturally. One of the things I did was remove an alarm clock when I learned this, because an alarm would set me off, it would stress me out, and I also would get the Sunday scaries. And I would stare at that clock and stare at that clock and just,
Mm-hmm.
get in our heads. We all probably remember that from school. And so I had a coach go get rid of it. I was like, what? She goes, if you're following your natural rhythm and you are actually aligning your life with your chronotype, you won't need that alarm. She's right. So other than a vacation or a busy day like today, I set an alarm
Yeah.
to go to the gym because I wouldn't have time afterwards. It's something I want to do. So it's not a scary
Mm-hmm.
thing for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up with the sun when it rises,
Mm-hmm.
and I function best with clients between 10 and 3. And if I take calls after, I get tongue tied. My speech changes because I am now worn out and done for the day, and I only have time to people with my people. And
Mm-hmm.
so once I learned that, I stopped hustling
Mm-hmm.
and I started being so much more productive
Mm-hmm.
in that time, because I wasn't trying to do too many things. I was doing the right things, and my life completely changed everything. So much so that I actually don't even do, I don't take clients on Mondays. I have
Mm-hmm.
mental health Mondays. So they shifted from pajama work days. I would call them that. I think you've been a part of every single phase, actually. I had pajama days. I had like a bed day, or a relax day, and it's ended with mental health Monday. So if I need to move my body, I go move my body. If I want to meet with people, I meet with people. If I want to do new business, I do new business. If I want to just do nothing all day and treat myself, that's what I do. Monday's whatever I need it to be. Life-changing. And I get that not everyone has that option, but I started a business with no money and still chose me in that process. And it's all worked out beautifully for me. And other people have adopted that now because they're like, yeah. And they still go to work, but it's still a mental health day. So they still do for themselves. And I'm like, there you go. They're like, today I'm ordering lunch and I'm bringing home dinner for the family. I'm not going to cook a single thing. I'm like, go you. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You adapt it to you. And I get to help people do that. But I think it matters that I also lead by example.
Oh, 100%. People are learning from that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I fuck up. I don't do it right often, but I trust that things are always working out for me. So the thing that didn't work out actually did work out. I just have to have the right mindset for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very human. Some days I'm very petty. I'm not always healed, and you shouldn't be. That should not be a goal. Some days I am very, very human. And you know what? I love that. I love that preference contrast for myself.
Hey, I'm popping in for a moment to let you know that if you're interested in working with me one-on-one in a small group, or you'd like to attend one of my upcoming retreats, please reach out or add yourself to my email list. You can go to iloveitwhen.org and scroll to the bottom where you'll see there's a spot to sign up. I also love to speak, teach, and create experiences for small, medium, or large-size companies. If you know someone that I should know, please connect us. I'm looking to utilize I Love It When to create global change, and that will require collaborating with all of you. You're all so much more powerful than you realize. Remind yourself of that today. Well, you've kind of launched us perfectly in the next direction I wanted to go in, which was to talk a little bit about your intuition. And how do you define what intuition is?
It's such a good question. In my double mission in life to not only find my authenticity, but live authentically in the way that I create, which is why I said earlier, like, this is what you see is what you get. This is just who I am all the time. In that healing process to find her, because I was not her. I was a shell of myself for a very long time, functioning in this business, but it just never working because I was avoiding. I was doing the other things, trying to save the day, trying to be everything for everyone, and realized I had lost me along the way. In the healing, I actually healed physically my gut. And because I finally learned how to ask myself what I need and actually do that and not worry about it disappointing other people, because guess what? You're going to fucking disappoint people. Get over it. Finally learned that with myself. I started actually having crazy intuition, which I think we all have when we're truly connected and aligned with ourselves.
Yeah.
So it started with something as simple as, like, I always had it in my head, like that little voice where you're just like, you should say yes to that, or that's a bad idea. I can give you a specific example. I set something down, like a cup, and I set it down and I looked at it and thought, that's going to fall. And I walked away and it fell. It wasn't teeter-tottering. There wasn't really any reason. It was on a stack of something that came up, whatever the reason was.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. And then stuff like that kept happening where when I didn't do the thing. And so same now, I'll be at the store and I'll have a random thought about milk or something. And I'll be like, no, we have plenty. And I'll go home and sure enough, we're out of milk because someone else drank all the milk or something. So dropping into my gut, we talked about that today too earlier, like drop from your head to your heart, which Enmei taught us. I've dropped from my heart into my gut though. And it tells me people, energies. So I tapped into it and was able to start to do energy reading with oracle cards, which was really cool. And I went deep on that for a long time. Big breakthrough was with you when we were exchanging. And I was like, this is so cool. And the connections it made. But what it really turned me on to was books like The Four Agreements and learning about smoke and mirrors and filters and all those different things. And that I was living in this weird reality in my head that only I was creating and punishing myself in, from old stories and old beliefs. And never having an opportunity to truly heal trauma. And so I was functioning as a broken inner child for a long time and trying to live the life of an adult. And it just was so fucking hard. And so when I started to lean into that and heal, it felt so good that that's what I seek now. If it doesn't feel good, I don't do it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't serve the thing I'm working towards, I don't do it. I have a hire slow, fire fast mentality about me. And I've taught myself I can trust myself. And so it's played out in lots and lots of ways, but those are just a few of the very like specific, tangible things that had happened. And then now it's just a vibe. It's just a vibe. And I am that vibe. I am that energy always. It's in my house. I don't know about you, but in regards to that, I like the way it feels so much. And I'm so in this and protective of it that I don't let anybody get a chance to destroy that. So I'm even cautious about who I let physically into my home.
Oh yeah.
Because they bring energy. I will sage. I will moon water people and things because I believe so much in that because it's been proven true over and over again. Just like the the manifestations of I love it when I get a front row parking spot and every time there it is. That's my husband, by the way. That's what he does. It just works.
Yeah.
So why would I change the fact that
I love that you brought that up because that's like next level stuff for people who coach with us. I think when they're to that point where they're allowing themselves to trust their intuition, trust themselves, then this other like avenue opens up where their world just breaks open. And so 100% I do the same thing. Like, and I've noticed because now having a partner living in my house with me, Tom, who's also highly intuitive and very much open energetically, we both, I think I've shared this on the podcast before we go to bed at night, we wipe down our aura with a stick of selenite with a crystal, and that stops us from having nightmares. And so I share this with people because it's a very physical thing they can do. And people are like, how does this work? And I said, well, when you start to realize that energy is real, energy is just like this pen in front of me. It's just, we just can't see it all the time in physical form. You recognize that people bring in certain energies with them. And we've had people come over for dinner and we didn't sage or cleanse ourselves afterwards. And then we've had nightmares because some sort of energy was attached to them. So 100% agree with you on that. And it's amazing the shifts that can happen in your life for your health, physical health, mental health, spiritual, emotional, financial, when you start to recognize the energy. So I love that you brought that in because that I think is like next level that not everybody's ready for right away when they start to work with us, but it will come up.
I have had people who really get on and they like an aspect of my coaching. So they're all in.
Yep.
That's a little woo-woo for them. It's not after a couple months, or I have clients who've been with me a really long time. And now they coach from a standpoint of vibration and magnetism, which they fought so hard in the beginning. And it's not my job to convince you.
No.
People convert and allow their minds to get there because they can't deny the proof. My husband fought it. My husband was just like, all right, you little witchy woman. And I'd be like, I am, you're correct. And we had to talk about this recently. And I said, am I still just a witchy woman? And he was just like, no. He goes, it's a level of vibration and magnetism that no one in my world prior to you ever tapped into. And he goes,
or could speak to. Well,
he goes, and it works. He goes, and he's a real realist, real grounded, normal dude who also believes these things now. And so it's changed his world. And it's, you know what, it changes the most for people. And this, I think, really surprises people. It instills a level of value and worthiness in ourselves because we get to go, we did that. I did that.
Yeah.
I created that.
Next level trust.
It is, I would say first couple of years of my really deep healing and awakening. And I have it on my wall still, and I'm in a new state and a new house, which tells you a lot because I'm a Cancer. I am a sticks with my people, stays loyal. And I shifted everything about my life. I've had people end their careers after 40 years and shift to something new and go, God, here it is. This is what I've been supposed to, because it's scary for everybody, but it's not harder than living in a reality that doesn't fit you.
Yeah.
I've got empowering affirmations up on my wall. It's just a printed piece of paper, nothing fancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood in front of that paper every single morning and I would say those affirmations and I did not believe them. I am a force. I'm safe in all my relationships. But you want to know what? A bunch of relationships started falling apart about 3 months into state, because I was like, I had committed to myself, I was going to say those till I believed them. And all the high power coaches I followed were like, speak this way to yourself. And I was like, okay, like fine, because they were doing it successfully. I wanted to trust in that. And so, but I'm a proof in the pudding person. I am a let me see if the stove is hot person. I'm a handful. It is what it is. And I would stand in front of those things and say it until one day I was like, I'm a fucking force and I'm safe in all my relationships. My world started to fall apart. People were just, I was like, why am I losing these relationships? Where the fuck did this client come from? And like, why is this happening? And not to me, but like, what? And I had a friend go, what is that affirmation that you say? And I'm like, I'm safe in all my relationships and I give and receive lots of love. And she goes, for that to be true, can you keep everybody? And I was like, oh, no. And the universe will remove what's not a match for you if you allow it. And so now it is in my normal speaking where I'll say things like, well, yeah, because I'm a force. In our house regularly, the language sounds like, well, of course that worked out because everything always works out for us. A lot of like, well, of course it did, because that's what we deserve. It changes vibrations. It changes things for people. And so I have clients that will go, it's working. I have people that I still have it up today. And I have people who have it as their backgrounds on their phones, who will say the things to themselves, who use the language with their children. Language is the key to the world. And how you speak to yourself is the very first place you should start. I will, can I give a prompt to people? The one I said to you earlier today.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how kindly do you speak to yourself? For most people starting off on the journey, it's pretty low. So don't judge your number. I even had someone the other day go -2. And I was like, specific. Okay. The next question is, what's your desired number? What would you love that number to be? And then the question is, what's the reason for the gap? And really, it comes down to a discussion of, so what would need to pivot or change or get revamped so that you would be the person that would have a number that matches what you want? And it really is like, where am I at, where I want to be? What's the reason for the gap? Which is why I said honesty earlier. You're the reason for the gap. What are you allowing? What do you have no boundaries on? Where are you saying no, where you want to say yes? And how are you treating yourself? Because the way you feel about you is the reflection you'll get from everyone else in the world around you. If you believe you're a piece of shit, you're going to be surrounded by other pieces of shit. If you believe you're the greatest thing in the world, you're going to be you're going to be in rooms with people that you're like, they're the greatest in the world. I cannot believe I'm in here with them. You wouldn't be in there if you weren't deserving of it, though. It takes people a long time to come full circle on this, but you want to know, the thing is that they want to believe it so badly that they always end up getting there. Oh, if you do the work, you will always get there. It just takes time, but we're all worth it. We're all worthy of it. And we're all the only reason that we don't have the things or the success or the life that we envision. But if you're coming to me or ending up in front of you, and it's because you said one day, this can't be it. Great question. I'm glad it landed you in front of me. Would love to work through that with you, because that's what I want to hear. That's the right question. This can't be it. It's got to be better than this. What am I missing? I have the answers. Come talk to me. And so, one of the things that's kind of crazy about the whole situation, and I explain it to people, and I feel like you'll understand this and maybe help me express it to the people listening a little bit better. But I have this special gift that I can see the greatest good in people. I can see their greatest potential. And I also can hold space really well to let people get there on their own, because telling you isn't the same thing as you getting there on your own, right? But it's like the matrix to me. I can see. So when I talk about customized stuff, it's not me sitting here being like, I'm going to do that. No. you really do drive. You drive it and I'm with you, but I know how to pivot or go, hey, I'm going to stop you. Let's stay here for a second. And if you're like, I'm really uncomfortable, not ready, I'm like, great, let's put a pin in it. We're going to come back to it. But I have the ability to see it. And so I've had people go, are you just blowing smoke? And I said, one thing I don't do is lie. One thing that I am is kind of grossly honest. If I don't think that I could help you, I will not take you on as a client. And I'm very honest about that because I don't choose money. I choose integrity. But I can see that. And it's unlikely that you don't have it. I've only met a couple people who were very comfortable in their victim, in their this is hard. That's where they felt safe. And it wasn't that they weren't capable of it, because I can see it, but I can tell when people want to do the work and don't want to. And I think you know that too. We have vetting processes. I'm not going to invest if you don't want to, though, because we're doing this together. If you're in the trench, guess what? I'm in there also. I just happen to be the flashlight. So that the next time that you go into a trench, you're a flashlight for someone else. That's the whole thing. I'm lighting you up so you can go light up all your people. It's just so yeah, it's a whole process, and it's messy as fuck, but it's always a gentle unfolding. And that's why we only do an hour at most a week with people, because it would be too much. And we plant little brain bombs because then they step away and they're like, so you broke me this week. And I'm like, what was it? And they're like, well, it was 2 days later and this happened. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And that's the process. And people get where they need to get when they get there.
Yeah. I love that. Can you share with people, it is awesome. Can you share with people where your energy is focused right now in your business? Is there anything you want to share with people about stuff you have upcoming, or where are you kind of focused on?
Yeah, great question again. Loving your podcast. So one of there's a few actually. I really work hard on staying focused and intentional in my actions. Otherwise, my ADD brain will go, Andria, do all the things because they're shiny. And I'll be like, yes. So I really have to be like, okay, make a plan for myself. So right now, a couple things. I will be launching an incredible workshop in the spring. It's in its beta testing stages. It's been run as it's been run as a retreat. I built it years ago and was inspired to turn it into a workshop, a little bit of a rapid fire, rip the Band-Aid off in a safe, loving place. And we do it in a group. And it's been beautiful every single time. And I love it. So it will be my signature program. And I'll be launching that this spring. And it's just a really beautiful creation for people who want to do the work and get some real tangible results in a matter of time. And it's why I call it rapid fire. It's incredible though. And I'm mid third beta test right now. And I think I cried over it already this week because of the breakthroughs for other people.
Yeah.
Because my focus is always, you asked me about my passion, you did this. My focus is always helping people believe the best in themselves and seeing it and doing something with it. So to see people that have been stuck, have breakthrough and ahas and relief, even though it's tears or pain and discomfort, but them going, them saying hard, worth it. Hard, fucking worth it. Is me going, it's working. And that's what I want, right? Ultimately, I want it to work for you. And you get out of it what you put into it. That's what coaching is. You get out what you put in. It's why we want to coach with you for a while, because you may not actually let us in for 6 months, whether you think you have or not. I have people at 8 months going, why didn't that come up in the first month? And I'm like, because you didn't want it to. That's why. And people trust far less than they think they do. And you have to trust us, right? So there's a whole process. So the workshops, I'm so proud of it because of how it's changed lives. And people can go look at reviews and different things from that and little snippets from the workshop that I have on all my social media platforms.
Okay.
And then I am also developing my podcast. And right now I'm working on the name, but what keeps coming back is Make It Make Sense. And it's just little 20-minute snippets of everyday things where it's either me going like, you're allowed to feel two things at once. You can be okay and not be okay at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've realized through these workshops and the testing is I'm deep in my rabbit hole of healing. So I am down here in my astral world going, well, I created that problem. I'm the problem, which is just most people come into coaching with me and they're just like, all right. So I'm not there yet, cuckoo bird. And I'm like, okay. I realize that most people just need an opportunity to scratch the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to go deep. I just need to say the thing that maybe you needed to hear that day.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be as simple as you're allowed to say no. One of my favorite is, did you know that I don't like the way this feels is enough of a reason to remove yourself from a situation, a person, or a place.
Mm-hmm.
And then just going a little deeper on that,
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm working on. I don't really have a launch date for it, but I'm really excited. And it's a great place, just like your podcast. If people are curious, start here, listen to us, listen to who we interact and engage with, and what we speak organically on. And if it speaks to you, then we probably speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
So just giving people a lot of access to me, specifically in ways that I want people to have access. And so it's also been real good for my boundaries. So, and I'm always doing discovery calls. I do a free 30-minute discovery call to make sure that answer questions and make sure we'd be a good fit if people are curious about coaching. So I've got a couple different avenues. I'm just most excited about those other two because they just have really great deep impact. But one-on-one coaching, fantastic. It's you time. It's you do it. The impact it makes. So if you guys haven't invested, I think everyone should have a coach, therapist, counselor. Everybody needs a person. And there's enough of us out there that you could find the right one. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Well, do you have an email list that people can hop on, or what's the best way to follow along with stuff as you are sharing updates? Is it Facebook or Instagram or?
Yeah, I'm on most social media. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I'm just at Crowne Group Coaching. There's an E at the end of Crowne, just FYI, but Margaret will probably have it in her info.
Yes, totally.
But Crowne Group Coaching. And I have a lot of similar things across the platforms. And then you can also just email me at Andria at crownegroupcoaching.com. It's just me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the one responding. You send an email. I'm going to be the one going, hi, what's going on? Real person, there's no one else. It's just me. So really easy to get a hold of me. And then I have a Calendly link too that is accessible through all of my platforms. There's a link tree Jew taught me about that has access to setting up a discovery call and scheduling it for yourself on your own if you want to. And if you need special timing, reach out to me. I can make something work. So yeah, lots of different ways to access me, but
cool.
Hopefully they can
find me. Thank you so much for hopping on today and sharing everything that you did. I know there's lots of different nuggets that people are going to be able to take. I love that they have stuff they can take and do from just listening to this episode. If nothing else, that one question you asked about the kindness, about how you talk to yourself. So I end each episode with, what's your current I love it when, for the world or for yourself? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward for me. Every day at noon, I have an alarm that goes off on my phone, on my watch, and it just says, I love it when everything works out for me. I just love it when everything works out for me, which makes everything that happens work out for me. And it's not always about finding the silver lining. It's just going, I don't have to understand it fully now, but I trust the process and I trust the universe or whatever your higher power is, your higher source. I just trust that things are always working out for me, and it reminds me to get the fuck out of my own way.
Yes.
I am a micromanager. So it's a really helpful, useful reminder that everything's working out for my highest and greatest good.
I love it. Well, thank you again.